And in the 1990s, more question documents came out with Timothy Cooper, and there were other claims. We've had the Robert Lazar claims, and as recently as 2017, what I call the ultra top secret document came out on the internet. So, in my opinion, this MJ-12 affair started in the 1980s and is going on up to the present day.
Now, are they the ones you feel that are slowly releasing information? I know we had the Navy come out, with the video. It somehow circulated from the Nimitz from the 2004. And then they come out recently and they have really, clarified, yes, there's UFOs. They're not saying where the UFOs are coming from. Do you think, because a lot of people think, and they did last year, so many of my friends that are in ufology and with Mufon were so positive that major disclosure was going to happen. And I just haven't seen anything really major other than, the Navy saying, yes, there's unidentified flying objects. But what do you think is going on? And what do you think is going on with this secret group?
I think what's going on is mass confusion. I don't believe that there's going to be any major disclosure. That's my personal opinion. At my first impression when To the Stars came out, and they came out with these videos, with these gun camera films, that we were getting something related to confirmation. And with an article in the New York Times coming out, and that information along with the videos and some of the messaging that To the Stars have been putting out, I think a lot of us felt that we were getting confirmation. But I consider it to be a soft confirmation. And we have transitioned from the major media like the New York Times being in complete blackout about UFOs to going into some major media coverage of the UFO situation. And that is a change. That's an important change. But real confirmation is something like the Secretary of Defense having a news conference and showing this video and saying, look, we have something that we don't understand here. And we're not seeing that. We're seeing this stop and start confusion from DOD. We have people that are filing FOIA requests, trying to get information about these about this program, and we're getting conflicting information out of DOD. And I think that the best explanation I've heard is that there is a faction within DOD that is in favor of disclosing at least some more information about the UFO problem, but they don't know how to do it.
Well, that's the whole thing. Now, are you familiar with Terry Lovelace?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what do you think of his story, just as an outsider?
I think that it falls into the pattern of some other incidents that have occurred. And what particularly intrigues me about Terry Lovelace's case is the OSI, the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, getting involved and interrogating him and his partner, and even possibly using drugs. Now, this does happen from time to time, but it's somewhat mysterious as to why they get involved. And I think in Terry Lovelace's case, he may have undergone a real UFO situation, but somehow the Air Force or the government also knew about it. And it's possible that they were involved in manipulating it.
That is scary because, he's been on my show about 4 times. And and of all the people, he's very credible. He was a former U.S. Assistant Attorney General. He's, retired attorney. Very credible guy. But what he says, whatever happened to him, and again, he thought they were on state property. It turned out they were on federal property. He didn't know about it. a lot of things he said is strange. When you Google the area, it's like nothing, no trees are growing, no nothing. It hasn't changed since the mid 70s, which I find it very unusual for that to not happen. But to go through and have these guys in the suits interrogate him, give him sodium pentothal, and basically threaten the guy. If you don't have to give us a report. That's fine. You can go to Leavenworth. I mean, they were, basically blackmailing the guy or threatening the guy. But the standpoint, if it is what he went through is anywhere near factual, it's scary. Because I've interviewed a lot of people, Tom, since the 70s, and I've never had anybody. It sounded so credible, and it's scary. And I don't know. Do you think that the American public is ready for anything other than soft disclosure, which could go on another 20, 30, or 40 years?
I don't think that the public, the general public, is ready, and I'll tell you why. From our perspective, I'm a UFO person, okay? And I'm basically within the UFO echo chamber. And what seems to be real and natural and normal to us is not real and natural and normal to the general population that doesn't know anything about it. Now, I will say this. I think the population has been more acclimated to the idea than it was, say, 40 or 50 years ago. And I think that one of the problems that the people that are in favor of disclosure are dealing with is at what pace, at what tempo to release this information. And most of the information that has come out has come out in ways that allow plausible deniability, so they can always backtrack and say that something is a hoax or something isn't real. And that gives them an out. It gives them a safety valve. So the impression that I have is that the people that are in favor of disclosure are going about it very, very slowly, and this could go on for many years to come. Now, that is also related to what the news really is. What if the news is bad? What if people are missing? What if there have been human mutilations? That's bad news, and how do you disclose that to the public if that's the case?
That, Tom, is really scary, because that's what we talk about a lot on the show compared to a lot of shows. We've been talking about, human mutilation, cattle mutilation, people going, research says anywhere from 50 to 60,000 people are going unaccounted for, according to the FBI, which is not showing as crime scenes or murders, that these people are vanishing every year. Now, you take the UK, you take Germany, you take France, you take all these other countries. There's a lot of people disappearing. Now, again, I finally took it off my computer, but I had on my computer for almost a year some pictures that a guy who worked for a government agency sent me. And I know the guy was legit because I know the guy. I'd seen his credentials and all that stuff. Human mutilation photos. And after I saw that, every so often I would look at it, and it would scare me, or I couldn't sleep for days at a time. If this is going on, it's scary. And, I get these people, Tom, that come on the show, and they say that these aliens are here to protect us. They give off fuzzy orbs. They want to help mankind. They want to cure diseases. They want to cure cancer. I haven't seen any of that. Have you?
Well, there have been some reports of healings. Most likely, we're dealing with a number of different groups. There are at least several groups visiting us, and it's possible that it's changed over time. And it's possible that one or more of the groups are relatively positive and benign, that some of them are neutral, that they don't care, and that one or more are negative. And I think it's kind of a complex situation. It's possible that some of the alleged abductees are being tracked by the government because elements within the government may be unsure about what's going on in certain instances. So they're using the abductees to get more information so that they can gather more intelligence about what's really going on.
Well, you know what? It's scary. You know, Timothy Collin was the number 9th implant removal from the late, Dr. Roger Lear. Now, I know Timothy. He's a friend of mine. He's been on the show probably 6 or 7 times in the last year or so. Every time he comes on the show, it starts out good. The audio is good. Soon as, James, what happens? Every time we start talking about his abduction, something weird happens. The phone line starts breaking up on his end. It gets staticky. So after the time before the last time he was on, I talked to him, and he went out and bought a military-grade cell phone. He went out and had a new phone put in, if it was landline. Was working beautiful, talking to family members, friends, not a problem. Comes on my show. Soon as we start talking about, implants and UFOs and abduction, James, what happens?
As soon as we hit certain buzzwords, static builds up. He breaks up. You can't hardly hear him. And I've looked at the past 3 shows that he's been on. It's been the same scenario with, I believe, 4 or 5 different phones and phone lines. We're talking landlines even. Now, consistently landlines breaking up. Now, I don't know if he has an implant now and it's doing it, or if these beings are listening in and trying to interfere, or if other powers of being are doing it. But but it's consistent. The last 3-4 shows he's been on with at least 4, I think maybe 5 different lines, phone numbers and phones. It's the same thing. You get to a certain point of a conversation about his abductions or implants, and it breaks up.
And then the poor guy, he clams up. That's what's happened the last time he was on. He just didn't want to touch the subject because I think he realized something is going on. Now, I don't know if you heard this with other people, with, other abductees that have been implanted, but I tell you, if it's the government doing it or something else is doing it, it's scary, Tom. It really is. Now, what we have to do is go on a break, Tom. We'll be back in 3 minutes. I want your idea what's going on with these people that have been implanted, if you don't mind.
Sure. I'll be glad to share that with you.
Okay, we'll be back in 3 minutes. We're talking to Tom Whitmore about UFOs, Mufon, abductees, you name it. Anything ufology, we're going to be talking here to 8:30 here tonight, Pacific West Coast time. So stay tuned.
You and I, living in the strangest of times, on my hill, watching while the cities rise. From the cleft that we left, when the sun beat it down into the valley. Of times, you and me, watching while the cities rise and fall like rain. Seems that I knew you before, but when did I knew you then? Funny how the colors bend when lifetimes start to blend, and we've been spinning mysteries bandana. Oh, living in the strangest of times.